good evening, everyone. Welcome into the Hoover High School Coaches Show featuring the head coach of the Hoover football team, Chip English. And we're here at Beef Ready's as we are usually every Wednesday night. I'm Jeff Lloyd, and we're going to talk with the coach about last week's ball game, and we're also going to talk, get a look at what's coming up this coming Friday night when the Bucks are back at the Met, and they'll be hosting Hillcrest Tuscaloosa. The Bucks were winners on Friday night, last Friday, with a win over their city rival in Spain Park, the 21-10 victory. And congratulations in getting that first win, and now you just go from here.
Yeah, no, it was a good. When you go into a season and you don't win your opener, you kind of have to reset, and that thought process of can we do it starts to creep. And it's not a bad thought process. A lot of times it wakes you up a little bit, and so glad the guys responded the way they did, came out with a win against a big crosstown rival, and ready to hit the ground running.
You played against Spain Park and got out to an early lead, but it seemed like the offense kind of had a little trouble on third down after that point, and both teams turned into like a defensive battle. Yeah,
all night the defenses on both sides played really well, and so when you do that, third downs are really tough to convert. So our guys made it happen when they needed to. We had a good drive early, and then late in the game, it was 14-10. Was able to score right there. So when it mattered, we scored and converted on those third downs. But we got to get better doing that, making sure we're keeping drives alive.
How much was the defense of Spain Park? How much was your offense getting used to being against other competition?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Give them credit. They're a good football team. They're going to win a lot of football games this year. So we gave them a little bit of credit, but we also kind of shot ourselves in the foot with a lot of things. When defensively, we gave them 4 first downs off of penalties, whether it be PI, or other stuff. So just one of those things we got to clean up, be a little bit more disciplined. We were penalized a whole lot more that game than we were the previous game against IMG. So a lot of things we got to clean up, and then offensively too. A couple penalties here and there set us behind the sticks, and you're not very good when you're 2nd and 15. You're pretty good when you're 2nd and 4. So we got to make sure on those early downs we're setting ourselves up for success. And but yeah, it was a defensive battle all night. Offensively we only had about 8 possessions total, so we scored on 3 of them. We had 2 3-and-outs. So just got to be able to sustain some drives, and then like I said, defensively had them in some bad spots, but gave them some first downs through penalties.
We were looking at the stats from the first half. It kind of looked like it was a pretty clean game through halftime, and then the penalties and some of the other mistakes happened in the second half.
Yeah, thankfully defensively we were able to kind of generate some turnovers in the second half, which was really, really big for us. So glad the defense and Coach Reeves had those guys going. But it got kind of sloppy a little bit here and there on both sides of the ball, just the discipline factor. And then, ultimately for me, the frustrating part was, we had to call a couple timeouts, for some special team subs, and that should never happen. And I take ownership of that. We got to make sure we're cleaning that up, and because those timeouts are very valuable. And so if you have to use them early in a half on special team subs, that's not really what you want to use them for. Yeah. And so thankfully it didn't bite us in the butt, coming back late in the game, but was able to recover. We just got to clean some stuff up.
I made the comment on the broadcast that I thought that the star of the game was really stars of the game because it was your defense. They gave the quarterback from Spain Park all kinds of trouble all night long.
Yeah, we had a lot of guys like Trey Sanders. He had 13 total tackles. You come up with Justin Hartley. He absolutely got after the quarterback all night. Javon Pulliam had a great night. And then, you got Tyson Bacon inside. We moved him from inside to outside at times, so he adapted well. But we got after it. We really, really did. We had some really good possessions. Again, the penalties and the first downs negate that a little bit and kind of neutralize what they did. But I'll give Brock a lot of credit. He's a tough dude because we got into him pretty good.
I know that you weren't at Hoover when George Pickens was playing, but Jeremiah Tabb made a George Pickens type catch on one of the plays down to our left, your right, in that ball game. It was an amazing catch.
Yeah, especially early in the half, early in the game, maybe on the second drive. We don't feel like he's a 50-50 ball type guy. His percentages are higher, and so we feel good about that. And anytime a safety's not going to help him, Coach LeBeau don't mind, testing those guys out there and seeing what they got. And obviously, whether it be IMG or Spain Park, Jeremiah's going to make sure he's going up after the ball.
And, of course, Jonah Winston was instrumental in the victory as well, as he usually is.
Yeah, well, I mean, we targeted him 8 times, and he had 8 completions. So when you have that type of efficiency, and overall, I'll say this about offensively for us, we were 16 for 19 throwing.
Yeah.
And while we didn't have a great, what we wanted to on the ground, we were so efficient in the air, it allowed us to sustain some of those drives. But Jonah does it all for us. And, whether it's catching touchdowns or, coming in late in the game with a big interception in the end zone.
Yeah, a lot of people may have missed that. He was the one who made the interception that sealed the victory at the end. So he was on both sides of the ball in that game.
Yeah, and we come in on Sundays and look at what we have, obviously personnel, and Jonah kind of fits both personnel, right? So he comes with us on offense, and then so like today we're looking at the script and it was like period 11 Jonah to defensive field, and so he's running across, going to the defense for 2 periods, then he's coming back with us for 2-minute drill. So he's all over the place, but when you have a special talent like that, you want to make sure your best 11 are on the field, and a lot of times he's in that best 11.
Was he in the game defensively before that series?
A little bit, yeah. He played some on an earlier series, but then ultimately, right, that when we knew they were going to have to put the ball in the air, we knew, we wanted him in the game and be able to cover, especially on the back end. And it's not just his athletic ability that makes him one of our best. Because he's a wide receiver, because he's played quarterback, he understands route concepts, right? And so he understands what's coming at him so well. And, he was able to kind of read the quarterback. When he was flushed, he knew there was going to be somebody running on the back line. And so he almost made himself as the receiver, right? Went up, got the ball, got his 2 feet on the ground. So, just very, very smart player when it comes to both offense and defense.
Yeah, and I noticed that one of the things that one of the formations that you had both Tab and Winston lined up on the same side. A couple times they were stacked. That's a lot of playmakers right there that the defense has to worry about.
Well, Coach LeBeau does a great job of making sure, like, the defense has to tell us what they're going to do. Are they going to devote 2 defenders to our 2? If they are, we feel really good about what we're doing. Or a lot of the times when we stack those guys, they have to devote a 3rd defender. Well, if our 2 guys are occupying 3 defenders, we have a pretty good numbers in the box. We have Hunter Purdue on the other side.
Yeah.
We have Anderson Clark on the other side, and, our running backs. And so we feel like, the defense can't be right, if you will. So if you're going to do that, we'll do this. Or if you're going to load the box or not devote enough defenders out to Tab and Winston, we're good enough out there to hurt you.
And talking about that particular the options that you have, the defense has to match up against your offense, and it's kind of a chess match, isn't it?
It absolutely is. People forget. We practice all week and we design these plays and defenses and blitzes and everything. Guess what the other team is doing? They're practicing too, and so sometimes they have a better call than us, both offensively or defensively, and it is a chess match when it comes to that. And obviously, we pride ourselves on looking at tendencies, and we watch a lot of film. Not just our coordinators, but all of our position coaches watch a ton of film, and we divvy out what they're supposed to be looking at. So we might have one defensive coach looking at first downs, one second downs. Offensively, we have one offensive line coach looking at all the runs, our best runs and what formations. And then Coach Pounds, he'll look at all the blitzes and the different, third down packages they provide. So we split up the duties and make sure everybody's, they bring their stuff to the table on Sunday, and we grind it out like that. So we feel like it's a chess match, but we feel like we prepare so well. Hopefully we have the upper hand more times than not.
And we talked about the lining the 2 playmakers up on the one side, but it ended up that freed up your tight end to score the touchdown that really gave you the cushion at the end.
Yeah, anytime you can run the ball and we get down in the red zone, we want to be able to use all of our options. And so when we saw something that the defense gave us, and we took advantage of it. And so that's just part of it. And we want to make sure we're not gimmicky by any stretch, but we also want to make sure that we're making defenses play slower. And what I mean by that is we're going to move We're going to use everybody. We're going to motion and shift. So those guys have to think. Typically when 16, 17-year-olds think, it slows their play down. And so that's our goal. That's what we want to accomplish offensively. And so we were able to exploit that a little bit. And thankfully, Caleb gave a good ball. Anderson Clark got a big, I think it was his first touchdown of his career for varsity. So really, really happy for those guys.
Was that a screenplay, or was it how would you describe that play?
It was just a play action. Yeah, play action. We sucked the linebackers down into the play action and was able to kind of get the ball over the top. So, but yeah, it was a design pull.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that you kind of keep in your hip pocket and you pull it out when you need it.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where I think every offense has it, but it's just, does the defense give it to you? And, there's been plays and times and years where we have a play, but and we'll have it every single game. The defense doesn't give it to us.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why you have Coach LeBeau up at the top. We have other, Coach Eads is up top, and, Coach Williams is down on the other. Like, we have all of our eyes. So, at any given moment, you might hear somebody say, hey, they're giving it to us. They're giving it to us. Well, we call it and we go forward with it. And so, the more weeks that we work together, the better we're going to get as a staff and making sure we're, playing together, not only as athletes, but as coaches too.
And your quarterback, Freeman, as you said, completed, I believe, 13 out of 16 passes. He's got to be looking for that, and he's got to make the play.
He does, and that's the whole thing, where if they don't give it to us, because a lot of times the defense will tell a story pre-snap, and then they'll lie to us pre-snap, and then do something completely different. So, we have a saying where you might look at something pre-snap, but then the defense has to make it true. And if they don't make it true, we have to have, like alternative plans, right, within the play to make sure it's not a bad play. And so we have those checks, and thankfully Caleb does a really good job of making sure the defense is honest. And, that's when you see a 16 for 19 type of night with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions.
They always say that the biggest improvement is between game 1 and game 2. Did you feel that coming out of the game last Friday?
Well, being critical of what we're doing, there's still a lot to improve on, which is exciting for us.
Yeah, you don't want to peak yet.
Yeah, we were able to come out with a win and still have a lot to improve on. There was definitely some improvements. I thought we got after the quarterback a lot better. Discipline-wise, we almost took a step back. We got to play a little bit with more poise, both offensively and defensively, to put ourselves in better spots. But overall, we definitely took a step forward. I think we're taking a step forward this week in practice at least, and hopefully it shows on Friday.
I know that you always gather your team around. Just about every coach does that. So they gather the team around after the game. That's not the time that you really break everything down. Is it your first impression that you're giving to them, and then you get them back on Saturday or Sunday?
You can. After a win like that, even though I can be critical in the moment, there's no need to do that, right? Our guys went to battle. They gave it all on the line. They played well enough to win. Mm-hmm. And so you want to praise those guys and love up on them. You're hard on them all week. I know I am. I know our coaching staff is really hard on them all week. When we're able to accomplish our goal, whether it looks pretty or not, we want to celebrate those guys, because winning's not easy. So, but yeah, that's all we're doing, especially after a win. You just want to pick them up. Hey, guys, great job. Love you. Let's make sure we're refocused in on Sunday.
I know you had to give some love to your punter, because he had an outstanding night, and particularly the one punt that was like over 70 yards. Yeah,
Grant Morrison is really, really coming along, and it's just like any other position or any other sport. When you're playing with confidence, your numbers show and the productivity shows, and it definitely did. I think he averaged 43 yards per punt. He boomed the one over 70 yards. So he's really coming along and really developing, and I'm excited to kind of see where that's going to go. But playing with a lot of confidence right now, and he might get behind a long field goal or even a kickoff because of his leg strength. And so he's when you can flip the field in a competitive game, it's huge, and he was able to do that Friday.
And it couldn't have come at a better time in that football game.
Oh, no doubt. Because if you shank one or miss hit, all of a sudden you're giving them the ball with great field position, the momentum shift, everything. But instead, we went 3 and out on that series, but nobody talked about the 3 and out because he bombed it 70 yards, and now they're starting inside their own 20. So when you can do that, momentum, everything just shifts. And so that's how important the kicking game is, and Grant brings us that in the punting game.
We were looking at where the punt returner had set up, and he was at your 40-yard line. So they were going to have the ball in great field position. So that may have been one of the plays of the game that helped save it.
Well, and it's funny you say that because, in a closely matched game, and I would consider almost all of our games closely matched, there's 2 and 9 plays, between 2 and 9 plays that are going to determine the outcome of the game. The glory and demise of those is you don't know when those are going to be. And so that was definitely one of them looking back, booming that and making sure we're flipping the field. That was definitely one of those 2 to 9 plays.
Yeah, and there was another play that also was going to negate that, we thought, because of a face mask penalty and so on and so forth. So you take the good, you take the bad, and you hope that you throw the bad out.
Yeah, we returned the 1 punt for a touchdown. Hunter Purdue does a great job, and he's really coming along. Speaking of confidence, I mean, he's playing with a ton of confidence right now. If we can get the ball in his hands, he's electric. So he showed that Friday night. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of a block in the back. We actually roughed the punter up too. So it was one of those deals. It was just unfortunate, but it did show us what we're capable of in the return game. So excited to kind of build off that.
Yeah. We are at Beef O'Brady's. This is the Coach's Show. We're here every Wednesday night, and it is wing night here at Beef O'Brady's, and that means 99-cent wings, and we welcome those who are here tonight, and we are inviting everyone to come out and join us here at Beef O'Brady's, and they have different specials every night. On Monday night, they have beef. Beef has the Burger Monday, and then on Tuesday, of course, it's Taco Tuesday. What else would it be? Wing Wednesday, and then tomorrow it's going to be Stakeout Thursday, ribeye steak sandwich, or a Philly cheese steak sandwich plus fries, and they also have cowboy steak salad. On Friday night, it's chips and fish and chips Friday, and then they have the cheeseburger and wings on Saturday. And so we invite you to come out, be nice to the waitresses. They are great. The staff here is outstanding. We thank George for allowing us to come in and do this every Wednesday, and we hope that you'll take advantage of this opportunity to come in and give them some business and say you thank them for being a sponsor of the Hoover football team in this particular broadcast. Well, we've talked enough about last week. Let's look ahead to this week. You have a team that is your first region ball game. You're coming off a region championship last year, and you do have Hillcrest Tuscaloosa this Friday night. They come in 2-0.
2-0, playing really well, scoring points, defending well. They do a lot of things very, very good. And Coach Mitchell, a longtime coach, I think in Mississippi, came over here to Alabama and is having a really good run. So we got our hands full, and we were able to jump on them last year, but just like any other time, I mean, last year, we got to make sure we're doing it this year. So like I said, they're 2-0 going into region play. It is so important to be a top 2 seed in our region because of the way the playoffs are formatted. So we're going to have our hands full, and I expect it to be nothing but a great matchup for us Friday.
They have wins against Florence on the road, and then they were home last week against Sparkman. They put up 50 last week.
Yeah, and listen, they're capable. They're going to try to run the ball. They do a lot of different looks, a lot of different overloads with their line, and they have some really good backs and a big quarterback. So we're going to have to stop the run. That's really what we have to do, and we can't get lulled to sleep. Our corners and safety aces have to do a good job of making sure while they're ready to play the run, they're also looking for that play action pass that they do so well. So, and offensively, we got to. They're very violent in the box, in the defensive line and linebackers, and they have several D1 guys in that group. So we're going to have our hands full, but I feel confident. Our guys understand, and our coaching staff does so well, making sure that these guys, when they go out on Friday nights, they're not in that position for the first time. We've ran the play. We've had the look. We've seen the blitzes. We've done what we need to do in order to be prepared. So now, is it going to be perfect? No, but it never is. But it's really, really big. Like I said, the playoffs, the way they're structured, it is vital that we get a top 2 seed.
Yeah, and you want to be hosting that first round so you don't get shocked there.
No doubt. Well, and the Region 3 and Region 4, 2 and 3 are matched up in round 1. So it's important. We always want to host playoff games here at Hoover, and we want to make sure, our path to what we want to do in the playoffs is where it needs to be. But it starts with region opponents, and that's this Friday.
I know that Coach English does not look beyond Friday night, but fans do, and sometimes 16-year-old boys do. And you at Trustville the week after that. Maybe broadcasters do too. A lot of people would think this could be a trap game. Well, how do you feel? I know you don't believe in that, but what do you do to keep that from being a trap game?
Well, you got to go out and perform. I've made it very clear to our guys, and I think they respect our opponents enough to go out there and have to play well to win. And we're not looking to next week or the week after or week 9 or whatever. I'm sure the guys keep tabs on how everybody's doing, but our focus is on the week, and our coaching staff again has to refocus those guys. And I don't think anybody looks at this and says, oh, well, who do we have next week? Because this one don't matter. Everybody's dialed in. Like I said, Hillcrest, they're used to winning, and that's a lot. Like when teams are used to winning, it goes a long way. And thankfully we are too. So it's going to be a big matchup, and I don't think our guys are even thinking about the next week.
Yeah, and you're glad to be back home. You got home games the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's big for us. We want to, listen, anytime we can play at the Met, it's the best venue in the country. So we want to make sure we're packing it out, and our fans did a great job against IMG. And, we want everybody to come out Friday and support us. Region play, it's another level of excitement, another level of competition. So we want our fans to feel that, and we want to fill the seats for sure. And
the fans traveled well, not very far, over to Spain Park, but you had a good turnout that night too.
It is, and again, it's a rival, right? So we packed the stands, and they did too. So. And again, it's providing excitement, not just for the fans, but for the players, right? It's more exciting to play for 5,000 people than it is 40. And our guys have the opportunity to do that a lot this year, not just with away games because we play big-time opponents, but when we're at the Met, I encourage all of Hoover to come out, and it's a fun night. You're not going to regret the experience, both as a player and obviously as a fan. So come out, enjoy it, bring the kids. You won't regret it.
Yeah. Any changes to this week's starting lineup at this point that you can divulge?
Not really. Everybody's playing pretty solid. We got banged up at the running back position, but we're kind of piecing that together and making sure we're doing what we need to do. But everybody is relatively healthy and ready for this week.
We talk a lot about the coaching staff, at least you do, and rightfully so. Another area that needs to be talked about is your training staff, because there were a lot of cramps last week, and that's one of the things that comes with this heat.
Well, when we talk about discipline and penalties, that also carries over into our diet and what we take and how we hydrate throughout the week. So that's a discipline thing, and our guys have done a great job. Our boosters came in today and, providing our guys with hydration packs and everything. So I think what happened is, one, defensively was the majority of our cramps.
Yeah.
They were out there a long time. I said, if y'all don't want to cramp, get off the field. But we've done a good job this week of making sure those guys are hydrated and ready to go. Last week, it was a cooler week, and I think when it's cooler, it almost plays tricks on us as if, hey, we don't have to prep as much as we used to. So just redialed it in, playing with discipline, practicing with discipline, hydrating with discipline, and hopefully we'll see the fruits of that.
And that's one of the things that Hoover's always prided themselves on, is the athletic trainers that you have on staff, and then the medical facility, the team that you have that backs up this school.
Coach Peterson, Dr. Ellerbush, Gavin Halford, our strength and conditioning coach, everybody's on board. And when we come in on Sunday, we talk about the good, we talk about the bad, and how that's structured. And you're right, it's a rich tradition here. Our athletes are incredibly supported, not just by the coaching staff and the school administration, but also our training staff, doctors in the Hoover area. And our boosters does a great job of making sure our players have what they need to be successful. And so all of those components put together, our guys are treated like D1 athletes. And so, hopefully that'll show.
And I know the boosters came out, some of the moms came out Monday, and they had a little treat after practice.
Yeah, a lot of our coaches' wives and some parents came out, provided some watermelon. You know, we had the day off of school, so we had to get a lot done football-wise. And so anytime we have them there for over a couple hours, we want to make sure we're providing some food or hydration or something. So we got some ice-cold watermelon. We went. It was right after we lifted, so we had to eat it and then get right back into meetings. But again, it just shows the support that Hoover has.
Yeah.
It shows the type of program that we not only have developed but are sustaining and growing, and that's a testament to the coaches' wives who love to do that, the parents, the boosters, our coaching staff, and all the support that we get.
All right. Well, Coach, congratulations on that first win, and hopefully the first of many more. And, of course, an undefeated season is out now because of the first loss in a non-region game, but undefeated in the region like last year sounds really, really good.
That's right. All of our goals are in front of us, so we're excited about that.
Yeah. Well, we are going to wrap things up here, and we want to remind you that we're at Beef O'Brady's. We'll have the broadcast this coming Friday night here on the NFHS Network. We'll be on the air in the neighborhood of about 6:45, and we'll have the play-by-play here, so you can join us. But come out to the Met. You can watch it on the replay. That'd be just fine. And we want to thank the good folks here at Beef O'Brady's who allow us to come in and do this, and we hope that you'll come out and say thank you to them. And we're going to leave you now with some of the highlights from last week's game, courtesy of Patrick Devers, who is the sideline videographer. He does a great job. And for Coach, I'm Jeff Lloyd, and we'll talk to you Friday night from the Met.
Go Bucks.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4!
We welcome into Hoover High School football 2025. We are glad to have you joining us here tonight as the Bucks take on their cross-city rival in Spain Park, the Jaguars, and we're at Spain Park High School. Good protection, pass to Tab, and he caught it. Touchdown. What a catch that was. He literally reached across and over top of the defender. See the Bucks dial up here. It's 4-down territory, really, to the end zone they go, and it is Jonah Winston with the catch in the back of the end zone.
That was an elite throw and an elite catch.
Bradley drops back, deep drop, throws down the right side, and it is going to be intercepted by the Buccaneers. Hoover comes away with the football. The ball up in the air, touchdown to the tight end, and that is complete to Anderson Clark, and that was the play I'd love to see the tight end involved in. They throw to the back of the end zone. It's intercepted, and that will pretty much seal this ball game.
They took it personal last year. They feel like we're the toughest team. So, that was a word floating around. Who's the toughest? Tough people find ways to win. We proved that tonight.